Hello, world. Well, the inevitable has happened. Mean Mr. Mayo has discovered jazz. Now, he doesn't like, if you don't know me, Mr. Mayo, he's the YouTuber that we all love and enjoy. He's basically a Beatles nut. He's got the most Beatles records, memorabilia that I've ever seen on the internet. I mean, what do you say? He had like over 1,000 Beatles-related albums. But the other day, he was excited, and he posted that he had discovered jazz. He likes the big band jazz, more the earlier stuff I'm not familiar with. But I was kind of communicating with him, and I was telling him about the jazz that I like, or love, absolutely love, and that's jazz fusion. And he had a couple questions here and there. So, you know what? I mean, Mr. Mayo, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but this is for you. I've got a stack of albums that it's only, I don't know, maybe an eighth of what I have as far as jazz fusion. But this is what I think are essential bands, groups, and fusion artists. So, without further ado, you can argue whether this is the one that really started it or not. You know, what was the first fusion album? I don't know. I bet some of you could answer that, but this is the one that really lit the bonfire, and that's Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. This might not be for beginners if you're just getting into fusion, because it's a challenging listen. It's a nice, chunky, fusiony album. I mean, this is beautiful. And I can never talk about jazz without talking about Alice Coltrane, the wife of John Coltrane. They're both dead now. She died, I think it was 2007. And by the way, this May they're going to release a volume of her work that's been unreleased, or maybe it's been released on cassette, but they're releasing it on vinyl for the first time. And it's when she was in the 80s, she kind of went into this compound, this Indian type compound, and lived there. I mean, she was really into the Eastern religions. So this album actually does reflect that as well. So if you're kind of into the more mellow, spacier stuff, Alice Coltrane. Now I picked this one just because it's kind of a beginner. You know, you might not even know that Santana experimented with fusion. Is he the most notorious fusion person out there? No. But he did experiment. So you may even have this one in your collection. Just kind of listen to it, see what you think. Some of the longer instrumental parts are what you need to listen to. Eddie Henderson, Sunburst. This was, I don't know, I mean, I'd already had a lot of fusion, but when I heard this one, this was the one that made me want to dig deeper, explore other artists besides just your top fusion artists, the ones everybody knows about. This is a great album, and I mean, it could be good for a beginner as well. If you want to talk about a beautiful album to listen to, it's McCoy Tyner's Asante. I highly recommend this. Whether you like fusion or not, this is a great album. Here's a good fun one. Don Cherry. Here and Now. And this is top-notch caviar fusion. I mean, it's at the heap of the pile. I mean, this is a good album. Donald Byrd, Ethiopian Nights. Highly recommended. This is essential. Larry Coryell, whom a lot of folks have been posting about recently because he died maybe about a month ago. He was 73. This is a 1969 album called Spaces. Essential. Good stuff. John Abercrombie. Album is called Timeless. It's got Jan Hammer and Jack DeJohnette. Great album. As a matter of fact, that's what we're listening to is a Jan Hammer album, if you can see that back there. And this is one of my favorite fusion albums. Late 60s, early 70s, Herbie Hancock. Must Be Represented. Good stuff. Here's one that I had never heard of until I bought it. So I just was reading some blogs. Every year about this time, April and May, I go through a fusion phase, and I just stock up on fusion albums, and I can already feel it coming up. I know that I'm probably going to buy about 50 albums in the next 2 months of just nothing but fusion. But I hadn't heard this one before I bought it. Good recommendation on the internet, and I am really happy that I bought this. This is a great album. Some of these things, I mean, they really take your attention. You've gotta. Here's what I like to do. I like to light candles and really get into the music. You gotta focus on it. There's so many layers to it. It's such a complex and beautiful type of music. Terj Ripdell, Waves. I haven't heard much of Terj, maybe one or two of his albums. That's a great album, but from what I'm seeing, a lot of his earlier 70s albums, like 70 to 75, this seems to be the ones that the people like the most. But if you're just getting into it, you know, if you're just starting fusion, I'd recommend this one. This is an easy listen to. It's nothing too chunky or challenging. Return to Forever, Chick Corea. You have to have Return to Forever in your collection. Is this the best one? You know, I think so, but there's a lot of Return to Forever albums, and a lot of people have their favorite. I think this is a good one to start off with. Santana's back with John McLaughlin. Here at this point, he's Mahavishnu John McLaughlin, because he also, just like Alice Coltrane, him and Santana had a guru, an Indian guru, and they had Indian names. This is a great album. You know, two of your greatest guitar players going at it. I mean, very good. And as far as jazz guitar, John McLaughlin's right up there, probably top 5. And then you get both these guys together. So, Love, Devotion, and Surrender. Highly recommended. And like I said, I've got a lot more. I'm just pulling out some of the ones that I feel are a little bit more easily accessible. Like, I'm not going to pull out the Art Ensemble of Chicago right now and recommend that. That would scare people away, probably. Even though I like it, and I'm not bashing it, but if you know the Art Ensemble of Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. Soft Machine, 5. Soft Machine, I think after their third one, they kind of went into the fusion edge. So, probably 4 through, I don't know, Bundles, maybe? I could be wrong on that. There's 5 or 6 really good ones, top-notch ones they made in the 70s. But this right here is just the one that I'm recommending. It's 5. I put this one in here because, as far as fusion, people may not even realize that they have it in their collection. And this is the first Chicago album, Chicago Transit Authority. Double album, beautiful. I mean, it's a masterpiece. And the thing is, you can pick it up cheap, you know, for just a couple of dollars. So if you wanted to start a fusion library, you can start off with that, you know, just for a couple of dollars. Weather Report. This is one of the staples of fusion groups in the 70s. This is their first album, and probably my favorite. They really hit the nail when they made this album. I mean, it's very... I'm not sure how to describe it. Spacey, trippy. I mean, the thing is, you know, my channel, if you watch my channel, you know that I do a lot of space rock, a lot of weird music, psychedelic music, and fusion is just is right there. I mean, I really don't differentiate that much between space rock and fusion. Call me crazy, give me a lecture, I don't care. But this is one of the reasons why I have so much fusion, is because of the improvisation, the otherworldliness of it. It's just a great genre of music. I have a couple more, and then I'll be quiet. The Fourth Way, Werewolf. This is 1969. Well, there's a couple of great ones that came out of this one. Who came out of this? Was it Michael? Okay, Michael White came out of this. Well, I was thinking somebody else, but you know what? If anybody knows, chime in. And then the Mahavishnu Orchestra, which is the same Mahavishnu John McLaughlin that I showed earlier. I don't know, there's 5 or 6 of these albums, and they're all really good. So basically what I went over is just the basics, just real simple stuff that if you wanted to start a fusion collection, I would start with those. I probably later on I'm going to have another video and I'll show more of the more challenging albums, like the Art Ensemble of Chicago, some Pharoah Sanders, some other stuff that I may have in there. Maybe, you know, I'll show Jan Hammer and talk about him a little bit more. This is a fantastic album. So this was just a special video that I made for me, Mr. Mayo, and anybody else who's just getting into fusion. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you explore. And you guys have a great week. We'll see you on the flip side, and keep spinning.